today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Yesterday, it was announced Maisy Rose would be returning to action opposite the ring Jasmina Zapotoczna and not Chloe Watson.
What?
In my previous video, we talked about how unbeaten up-and-comers Maisy Rose and Chloe Watson were supposed to be fighting for the EBU title.
Right.
In the flyweight division, and up until this point, that's who I thought Maisy Rose was going to be fighting. I don't know what happened. I don't know who specifically decided to go in another direction. You might be familiar with that name. That's the same Jasmina Zapotoczna that fought Shannon Ryan not too long ago. Gave her a hard fight.
What's funny is she was actually supposed to have faced Maisy Rose already. She was actually supposed to have faced Maisy Rose on that same show.
This was back in February.
Maisy was supposed to have faced Jasmina, and Shannon Ryan, she was supposed to face Emma Dolan, but Emma Dolan fell ill.
Jasmina Zapotoczna stood in her place, and Maisy Rose, she didn't fight on the show at all. That's the way it broke down. That's the way it happened. All these months later, Maisy will get her chance to show Jasmina what she can do, and the same is true in reverse. Maisy Rose sports an unblemished record of 6 wins with no losses, no draws, no recorded knockouts, not yet, but don't let that fool you. She can punch a bit. Jasmina Zapotoczna, similar looking record, 6 wins, 1 loss with no draws, no recorded knockouts, having never been knocked out in 7 professional bouts. Maisy's 23, whereas Jasmina's 30.
And this is an acid test.
The same way Jasmina was an acid test for Shannon Ryan is the same way she's an acid test for Maisy Rose, because Jasmina, she's no journeywoman. She's no gatekeeper. She can handle herself. Good physical dimensions for a flyweight. She's got some height. She's got some length. She's supposed to be facing Gemma Rueg this weekend en route to the Maisy Rose fight next month.
And what is an 8-rounder?
I don't think that Jasmina is under any threat of losing to Gemma Rueg. Gemma Rueg, she is a gatekeeper with an upside-down record. This fight will allow Jasmina to get herself back in the winner's bracket en route to the Maisy Rose fight. And as stated, of the two, Jasmina is the slightly taller, longer fighter, but she can handle herself mid-range to inside, gets off good short punches there, good hooks, body shots.
She's all right.
Best described as a mid-range to inside boxer puncher. It's a bit early in Jasmina's career, considering she only really has 7 professional fights.
Because it's early enough in Jasmina's career that, she could change over time, develop different skills, add things to her toolbox. But right now, the look of her is a mid-range to inside boxer puncher.
Even though she's tall and long for the weight, she's not an outside fighter. She doesn't spend the whole fight trying to play freeze tag with her opponent. Gets touched up a bit mid-range to inside. You can expect to see that when she faces Maisy Rose.
It's more or less the same deal with Maisy.
Maisy's a mid-range to inside boxer puncher too, a spiteful one. For what it's worth, I think she punches a little harder than Jasmina Zapotoczna, even though she doesn't have any recorded knockouts, not yet. I do think she lands with more authority.
It's one thing that might separate them.
Along with the level changes and slips, you will notice that Maisy Rose is a bit more loose to goose, mid-range to inside than Jasmina.
Jasmina's more upright.
That makes her a bit easier to hit than Maisy Rose. Maisy's constantly moving and changing levels, slipping punches while she comes forward, where Jasmina is a little bit more static, a little bit more tense, keeping that torso up.
She's easier to find.
And that doesn't mean that Jasmina is bad so much as Maisy Rose is just better. Better all around. Better mid-range to inside. Trickier. Slippery.
More than Jasmina.
The variety of punches is noteworthy too. I really like the way Maisy Rose mixes up the punches. Just body punches, head punches, uppercuts up the middle, changing levels when she does it.
It's smoother.
They're both good fighters. They're both good fighters at that proximity. I just think Maisy's a bit better than Jasmina.
Jasmina's got a good lead hand.
Good jab. Nice and textbook. Nice and stiff. But I feel like because Maisy Rose is so slippery when coming forward, she's going to sail past that jab, get mid-range to inside on Jasmina, and work her. They're going to trade punches there.
And I anticipate Maisy Rose will consistently be on the better end of those exchanges.
But what makes it an interesting matchup is they both like to let their hands go at that proximity. They both like to let their hands go mid-range to inside. So it's going to have a pleasing aesthetic.
It's going to be an action fight like the Shannon Ryan fight was. This allows Maisy Rose the opportunity to cross-compare her performance with this same opponent against Shannon Ryan's performance against this same opponent. I have no doubts that's why Matchroom decided to bring her back
bring Jasmina back because the fight between her and Shannon was very entertaining.
I like Maisy on points.
And what promises to be an entertaining scrap on an entertaining card, because this is going down on the undercard of Johnny Fisher versus Alen Babic. That's a fight that definitely ain't going a distance.
This is for a lesser version of the WBA title at flyweight. The WBA flyweight champion, the full one, is Argentina's own Gabriela Alanis.
Saying the winner of this fight comes one step closer to challenging that champion for that title, among others, assuming that champion can stay champion.
By the time they do.
I like Maisy Rose to win on points July 6th on the undercard of Johnny Fisher versus Alen Babic. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, the ongoing story involving Ryan Garcia's anti-doping fiasco and how the supplement company that he means to hold responsible for it is now vowing to fight back.
NeutraBio's not taking this lying down.
I told you they weren't. On May 30th of this year, Garcia stunned the dietary supplement world by alleging that 2 different unsealed dietary supplements contained the drug Asterin that was found in his system. NutraBio Supercarb, a popular carbohydrate supplement, raspberry lemonade flavor, and Body Health Amino Acid Blend, strawberry flavor.
It's peculiar that 2 separate supplements from 2 separate companies would both test positive for the same drug they found in your system.
It is.
It's almost like you put it there to make your story look good.
This immediately raised suspicions from the dietary supplement industry, given that 2 completely different supplements allegedly tested positive for the same drug, which would have had an increasingly low probability of happening. Additionally, NutraBio's reputation in the industry is based upon the quality and third-party testing, so this was a shock to anyone within the space. They manufacture their own supplements and are extremely critical of the ingredients entering into the building, following all current good manufacturing practices to the letter. NutraBio's Mark Glazier is going after this full blast. We spoke on the phone to founder and CEO Mark Glazier, who doesn't yet have an official comment on the record, but stated that there is no way Asterin was ever in the building and that NeutraBio will be fighting this to the fullest. They're taking every step to go after this, and they're going after it full blast. Supercarb is just cluster dextrin, electrolytes, coloring, and sweetener. We also talked about the potential contamination of the incoming ingredient, but Glazier suspects it's highly unlikely, given that Supercarb contains cluster dextrin from a Japanese company, Mitsubishi, that is known for impeccable manufacturing practices. It seems rather unlikely. There's also color, sweetener, electrolytes, and malic acid, and Supercarb, none of which are likely candidates for any type of...
Is this the part where Ryan's fans bring up Victor Conti and the Haney's?
Because Mark Glazier didn't. Middlesex, New Jersey. NutraBio CEO and founder Mark Glazier released the following statement regarding allegations surrounding Ryan Garcia. NutraBio has never manufactured a supplement with Asterin and has never brought Asterin into our manufacturing facility. We have a long-standing commitment to producing the highest quality supplements, trusted by athletes worldwide. NutraBio set the bar when it comes to guaranteeing products, quality, and safety. And we are the first sports supplement company to have full label disclosure. Our supplements are manufactured in our own GMP facility, meeting CFR Part 111 GMP regulations. We take any claims against our company extremely seriously.
I smell a defamation suit.
And we will aggressively investigate the recent allegations made by Ryan Garcia's camp. We stand by our process for ensuring the quality, safety, and security of our products. We deeply appreciate the trust placed in us by our customers and athletes alike, and we are confident that trust is deserved.
This is why Ryan's got to learn to shut the fuck up. You see, Dillian White went through the exact same thing.
The same process, I should say. And he had to prove where the banned substance in his system came from in order to clear himself, and he effectively did that, tracing it back to a supplement company here in the United States. But you know what he didn't do?
What?
He didn't mention them by name. He didn't mention them publicly.
Because if he had, then it would have turned into a situation where it's Dillian White versus them.
If you defame them publicly, they'll go after you publicly in their own defense.
Like what Ryan is currently experiencing.
NeutraBio is the wrong product they chose for this. The owner is a savage when it comes to awareness and transparency of their products.
You fuck with the wrong one, Ryan.
Or the right one. This isn't going to end well for the boxer. Rick Collins' take.
A lawyer's point of view.
Rick Collins, the famous industry attorney and founding partner at Collins, Gann, McCloskey, and Barry PLLC, posted on LinkedIn with his take. The first thing you do in a suspected contamination case is obtain and test a sealed bottle of the same batch of the supplement product. The statement by Garcia's lawyer was weak.
Where have I heard that before?
You heard that from Victor Conti, but Ryan Garcia's fans have a hard enough time trying to ignore things that Victor says. Well, what about this Rick guy?
Are you gonna ignore him too? He doesn't work with the Haneys.
If it was really a case of suspected contamination, I would have verified that by testing an independently sourced sealed container and then issued a press statement suggesting an FDA investigation, a personal lawsuit, and the threat of a class action by all those consumers who may have unknowingly ingested a drug. There was none of that.
That's not what Ryan's legal team did.
Instead, he was talking about accepting some level of punishment. Curious.
Why is that curious?
It's curious because if the science backs your claim that the aspirin they found in your system came from those two supplements, why would you be so ready to lay down? That is, if the science backed your claims. The problem is, it doesn't.
Because you broke the chain of custody.
The supplements are supposed to be sealed for a reason. You're not supposed to send out what are already open supplements because you might have contaminated them yourself to bolster your story's credibility. No, you've got to go out there, find supplements with the same lot number from the same batch, and prove they're contaminated, like your supplements were contaminated.
Isn't that what Victor Conti was saying?
It was, but you guys didn't want to take it from him. Victor Conti, you said, test results simply cannot be authenticated because there's no chain of custody. Why are they testing powders from unsealed supplement containers? In my opinion, it seems likely that tempering may be involved. Testing product samples from unsealed containers of the same manufacturing numbers is the place to start. If the results are to be considered credible, how can test results from an unsealed container possibly be authenticated? This is not how credible science is conducted.
In layman's terms, because people are stupid.
Ryan Garcia has left himself open for a potential defamation suit on the part of NeutraBio because he is so publicly defaming them without establishing any kind of credibility. You broke the chain of custody. You didn't prove that the aspirin found in your system came from them, but you came out with this stuff publicly.
You mentioned them by name.
So when Randy Reutrage goes to the local GNC, he might skip out on buying NeutraBio supplements on the premise that they might be contaminated with something he or she doesn't want in their system.
Well, where would they have gotten that idea?
From Ryan Garcia, because he mentioned them by name. He mentioned them publicly.
Kid doesn't know how to shut the fuck up.
Let me make it even simpler for you. You fuck with their reputation, that might fuck with their business, and that gives them the precedence to fuck with you. And you got plenty of money to sue for.
The money from the Javante Davis fight, the money from the more recent Devin Haney fight.
All because Ryan can't seem to get his story straight. His story's changed about 3 or 4 times as to who's responsible for the aspirin they found in his system. First it was the Haneys and Victor Conti and Vada, then it was the Democrats and the aliens, now it's NeutraBio.
You want them to take the heat for this.
Ryan, who said, the truth is crazier than what they want you to believe. They say I'm crazy, but I beat Haney, pound for pound. What's next? They do not believe that aliens exist. What's next? The next president-elect is in jail. Y'all is clowns.
Is this an appeal to insanity?
No, he was probably drunk when he wrote that. You see, Ryan might be a guy who's in his mid-20s. He might be a grown man in terms of age, but not in terms of understanding and his faculties. No, Ryan is a lot like these pea-brained youngsters, these idiots who think that everything is a victimless crime, that you can go as far as mentioning this NeutraBio company by name without it having repercussions.
Do you know how I'm always telling you that there's no such thing as a free lunch?
That's just another way of saying that everything costs something. So, while some might find it appealing that Ryan runs his fucking mouth the way he runs his fucking mouth, it might end up costing him something, and that in order for you to be innocent, someone else has to be guilty.
You tried to blame this on the Haneys. You tried to say they worked clandestinely with Victor Conti. They set you up until your B sample got opened.
Then your story changed from the Haneys and Victor Conti set me up to it was my supplements. The Osterin came from my supplements.
I mean, if you've been seeing Victor Conti all entangled in this thing, it's because Ryan Garcia tried to blame him. Now he's trying to blame this NUTRABIO company, and they're not taking it lying down either.
Why would they? You're literally accusing them of selling contaminated supplements to athletes. Do you have any idea what effect that could have on their company and their reputation moving forward based on what you said publicly to millions?
Without even proving it was their fault. You've left yourself open for a defamation suit, my friend.
What Ryan's bonehead fans aren't going to understand is he's created a new problem, a separate problem, away from his anti-doping case, and whenever the New York State Athletic Commission decides to adjudicate,
Whatever they decide to do is separate from this.
this is something else. See, had you gone through the proper channels and established culpability the right way, you wouldn't have left yourself open for a defamation suit. The reason you didn't is because underneath it all, you know the Osterin they found in your system did not come from NeutraBio.
It didn't come from your supplements. You know that.
But under strict liability, under the auspices of the New York State Athletic Commission in this situation, you have to explain yourself. You have to explain why there's Osterin in your system. And the most that you could come up with is it came from your supplements.
Wasn't a good idea.
Even worse, you did it publicly and you mentioned them by name. What reaction did you think they were going to have? Do you think they were going to let you drag their name in the mud, especially when you've got millions?
You better try to settle this out of court.
Who says that Mark Glacier and the people at NeutraBio want to? What if they really decide to pursue this, do it publicly, to nail Ryan to the wall and make an example out of him? It'll all be because he can't shut his fucking mouth.
This could get ugly.
I don't know if it will, but there's definitely a legal precedent for the people at NeutraBio and Mark Glacier to file a defamation suit against Ryan Garcia because he's left himself open for one.
Wide open.
And as this latest news develops, he still has the New York State Athletic Commission and a potential suspension pending to think about.
Kid's fucking stupid, man.
Yeah, he's popular, he's very popular, and he's made some money being popular, but you can be popular and stupid at the same time.
Some people are popular because they're stupid.
That's Ryan and his childlike antics, except he's not a child.